Brother David, great to have you with us again today. David, I know that many people do have role models they aspire to, but I know you've been given some thought recently to role models in your life and in the life of people in this part of the world. So perhaps you'd like to share with us today.
Well, yes, I think, Tommy, you know, that all of us, whenever we're young, there are people who become role models for us. And there are people whom we admire and maybe we aspire to follow their example. A man that I always admired whenever I was growing up because I was mad keen on sport was the man who became Sir Tom Finney. He was one of the finest footballers that England ever produced. And he played for the team that I still support to this day, and that is Preston North End. But over the years, the areas that we're working in, Tommy, they produced fantastic role models, people who became world figures in their chosen profession or their chosen field of life. Just a wee bit before your time, Tommy, there was the singer Ruby Murray.
Yes.
In the 1960s, Ruby actually had 5 records at the same time in the top 20. With all the great entertainers that there have been, I think it's amazing that nobody has ever matched that record. And one of our own great supporters in Equipping for Life, in fact, he's one of our patrons, Sir Nigel Hamilton. Sir Nigel was born and brought up on the Old Park Road, and he went to the Boys Model School.
Yes.
He then went to university, joined the civil service. He became the head of the Northern Ireland Civil Service. But he's still passionately interested in the area that he came from.
Yes.
And he's still passionately interested in helping the Boys Model School. Then there was Van Morrison, who came from East Belfast. There was Harry Gregg. Now, Harry Gregg died just recently, probably best known for the fact that he was a hero at the time of the Munich air disaster.
Yes.
But that year in 1958, he played for a great Northern Ireland team in the World Cup finals in Sweden, and he was voted the best goalkeeper in the world.
Wow.
The World Cup. And I remember him, and he definitely deserved that accolade. Okay. 7 winners of the Victoria Cross in the First World War. That's one of the really good murals that there is on the Shankill Road, just at the co-op shop, which is on the left-hand side, about halfway up. There's a mural to these 7 winners of the Victoria Cross. Then there's Wayne McCullough, the boxer, who actually came from the Shankill Road. He won the world title in the middle 1990s, and it wasn't just a second-class world title. It was the very best. The Shankill Road. And then 2 men who started life out in York Street, Sir James Galway and Sir Kenneth Branagh. And, you know, I read recently an article that Kenneth wrote on his 60th birthday, and he still has, and I'm sure that James Galway has as well, a great affection for that part of the city of Belfast. But, you know, Tommy, there's a part of our history which I don't think that people in Northern Ireland appreciate nearly enough.
Okay.
And that is the Ulster Scots emigration to America. I think there were 250,000 people emigrated from this country to America during the course of the 18th century. And they became leaders in every field of life in the United States, and they produced 10 presidents.
My goodness.
Of Northern Irish ancestry. I've only time to tell you about 2 of them. One of them was Andrew Jackson. His parents left Carrickfergus in 1765. Andrew was born 18 months later. He grew up to serve 2 full terms as President of the United States. He was reckoned to be one of the great presidents of the United States. And he also founded the Democratic Party in America, which is still producing presidents of the United States today.
Yes.
Then there was Woodrow Wilson. I believe that he was one of the greatest of all the presidents that the United States produced. His father left Strabane in 1807, and his son became a Presbyterian minister, and his grandson became the President of the United States. Now, Woodrow Wilson was president at the time of the First World War. He was
Yes.
involved in the peace negotiations afterwards, and for his part in that, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace. But
Wow.
particularly with Woodrow Wilson, and I think that with Andrew Jackson as well, they said that their faith determined everything that they did. Now, Tommy, I could go on for a long time talking about the famous people that were produced from
Yes.
disadvantaged areas in Northern Ireland, but I haven't time. But what I do want to say is we're not producing as many of those people as we did at one particular time.
Yes.
And I would like to see that process reversed and starting to produce again world-class figures.
Yes.
I think there are two things that need to happen if we're going to be producing these people again.
Okay.
There has to be renewal of the faith. I think it's only the faith that can heal the hurts that have been inflicted on these people, especially during the years of the Troubles.
Yes.
But it's only the renewal of the faith that will put a new spirit in them and give them a new motivation to achieve everything under God that they're capable of producing.
Yes.
And then secondly, education. That's what we're involved in, actually taking children for reading. I hope that people know that at this moment in time, until the coronavirus interrupted us, we have 132 volunteer tutors going into schools in the Shankill, Rathcoole, Monkstown, Topmona, Wheatfield, and a couple of estates in Lisburn to take children for reading. And that is going very well. So I think we can say, Tommy, at the moment, that in Equipping for Life is making a small contribution in both of those fields. But the way that we're going and the motivation that there is actually in the ministry, I think our contribution in years to come is going to be a very big one.
Great, and we believe and hope and pray that indeed Equipping for Life can in some way play its part in a revival and the creation of role models for the future that we all can aspire to, and our children can aspire to, and our grandchildren. And so again, Brother David, thank you for your wisdom and your thoughts on role models.